Okay, let's get to it. I'm going to hand it over to Michael. So apologies for the delay, everyone. We're going to start streaming now, and obviously we're recording this so people can see it later. Had a bit of a link problem, but we'll probably have a few people joining in the next minute or two. So I'm going to hand it over to Michael Weiner because he knows our guest, Suzanne Cabrera, very well because he's on her board. So Michael, please take over.
Well, it's my pleasure to introduce Suzanne Cabrera. 25 years with different local charities, institutions, all related to helping those people who are disadvantaged. Suzanne has a record in Palm Beach of championing those who can't champion their own causes. We are fortunate in that she landed up in the area of affordable housing. And as we all know, affordable housing is the #1 issue in Palm Beach County. We are headed towards $500,000 as a median price. That's just an incredible number. There is hardly anything that can give you a roof over your head in Palm Beach County less than $150,000. The amount of money that's being devoted by any particular working family to housing needs is running to 40 to 50% of their budgets. It's almost impossible to maintain. That when we say a housing crisis, it's not an over-exaggeration. And if we didn't have people like Suzanne watching for these things, there is a good chance that whatever efforts we made in order to keep a viable county moving forward, serving all segments of society, it just wouldn't happen. And I don't know where it goes from there. So with that in mind, Suzanne knows so much more about this than I do. Please, Suzanne, talk to us about what we're doing immediately with respect to the housing crisis and how on a long-term basis we might be able to address this.
Thank you so much. And I also invited, you don't want to go anywhere without your expert bond attorney when you're discussing housing bonds. And Skip Miller is here with us, and he also has been involved with housing leadership almost from the beginning and chairs the Palm Beach County Housing Steering Committee. So he's always great backup to have, but this is an issue our organization has been working on. It actually was founded by the chambers, the BDB, Economic Council, primarily the Economic Council in the beginning, Career Source and others, to make sure that we always have housing for our workforce. And I think our time has come right now. You all see it with restaurants, with other places just not being able to staff up, and housing is the #1 reason. So this is something we've been working on, and let's see how my skills work this morning. We have been developing a plan, and this covers, it's not just going to be money, but money's going to be an important part of this, because we did a housing needs assessment, and these are clickable links, and I'll send this to Stephanie. And during this assessment, we found out, I knew the problem was going to be bad, but I had no idea how bad it was going to be. And one of the most startling factors was the fact that we're 20,000 units behind between 2010 and 2019. And basically we had people moving to the county, and we did the whole net moving in, net moving out, and the number of building permits, and found out we have a $20,000 gap. I mean, 20,000 unit gap, much more than $20,000. But so that's something we need to address right away. Simple supply and demand. That's why when people are given a $500 a month increase and they go to try to negotiate, they're like, no, we got people lined up out the door behind you. So it's going to be really important that we start to deal with that issue. But a lot of other things have to happen in sync with that. But today we're primarily going to be talking about the bond issue, because that just got approved by the Board of County Commissioners to be on the ballot. And the plan does have funding and financing, planning and regulatory reform, work on neighborhood revitalization. We love hearing about Michael, the swales and safety and streets. And he's been a real big help in that part. And of course, all done through a lens of racial equity. So we do have a whole plan that is available. All of it's available on our website, and I will make sure I send it to Stephanie. But one of the most important things in this issue was trying to find a reliable financing gap source. And this has become even more important. We want to really harness the market, and making sure that we have reliable funds available is more important than ever right now, because the cost of debt is going up, equities, always been expensive. And now we got our ship cut last year, and that was a great source of funding to build apartments. So this year, more than I think ever, it proved that we need to have that reliable gap funding source to be able to really address this crisis. Most of the time you say, well, you can't just throw money at it. With a supply gap this severe, you got to throw a little money at it. So, and bonds is a way to do this. And we had originally talked about 2 types of bond, but now we know we're going with the general obligation bonds. So I am going to let the bond expert take over and start to talk about what we are working with and how it may work. And
well, thank you, everyone. Again, my name is Skip Miller, and public finance is my primary practice area. And we both want to thank you. And Michael, thank you for arranging for this opportunity to speak to you this morning. I'm going to talk a little bit about how general obligation bonds work generally, and then I'll talk about how they're going to work in this particular case, and kind of let you know some of the things that are still maybe up in the air. So the way a general obligation bond works, it's secured by the full credit and taxing power of whoever is issuing the bonds. And in this case, it's going to be Palm Beach County. And what that means is that there will be a separate ad valorem levy on every taxable piece of property in Palm Beach County. And the money that is generated from that ad valorem tax will be used to repay the debt service on the bonds. You can go to the next slide. That's probably good, since you did anyway. So if you look at this slide, you know, right now, fiscal year 2022, the county's got the debt service on the general obligation bonds that they've already issued is about $11 million. County issues other types of bonds, which brings the total to about $102 million. So when you pay your taxes every year, about $102 million total is going to pay debt service on the bonds the county has issued. One of the attractive features of doing this bond issue now is that over the next several years, a lot of those bonds are going to be rolling off the books, meaning they've been repaid. So when you get to 24 and 25, you can see the debt service goes down from 102 million to 91 million. And when you get to 2026, the debt service goes down to 74 million. So we can borrow this money. The latest estimates we have is that the debt service on $200 million will be in the neighborhood of $13 to $14 million a year. So we can do this bond issue without it causing taxes to go up because of these other bond issues that are rolling off the books. The other important thing from a dollars and cents standpoint is the county has estimated that the debt service the debt service that gets applied to a $500,000 house that's assessed at $500,000 that's got $50,000 in exemptions is only about $25 a year. So, you know, we're really talking about a very minimal investment by the average taxpayer, but the returns will be huge. And the reason I say that is what the bond issue is going to be used for is to provide gap financing for development, both multifamily and single family. On the multifamily side, it's pretty simple. If the county, for example, let's say a developer is going to build a 100-unit multifamily development. if we can persuade that developer to make even 20 of those units affordable or workforce, we've added 20 units to that supply. So in order to entice a developer to do that, the way the bond issue works is the bond issue would provide gap financing to cover a portion of the development cost. And I know we talked about, 10,000 a unit, but unfortunately, since we threw that number out, construction costs have gone up dramatically. So let's say it's 20,000 a unit, just to give an example. So 20,000 a unit for 20 units, that's a subsidy of, that's a second subordinate mortgage of $400,000. And that will result in 100 units being built, 20 of those units being affordable or workforce. And so the multiplier effect is really dramatic. I mean, we're kind of figuring you'll get, for $200 million, you will get $2 billion of construction activity. So there's a real engine there, for the economy in general. And it's going to produce housing that we need so badly. You all know what's going on with rentals, and a lot of the causes that is the shortage of supply. On the single family side, it works a little bit differently. Going back to these general obligation bonds, one of the reasons, quite honestly, that our group was in favor of doing a revenue bond was revenue bond had a lot more flexibility. Two of the main restrictions on general obligation bonds: one, the money has to be used for a capital project. So for example, that would rule out a rental assistance program. That would rule out a down payment assistance program. The second thing, it has to be for what the courts call a paramount public purpose, which basically means that the predominant purpose of the activity has to be public, and any private benefit would be incidental. And that again rubs against providing funding to a individual home buyer. And it may or may not affect what we're trying to do on the rental side. We're assuming not at this moment. So really on the single family side, it looks like what we are going to be doing is using the bond proceeds to make construction loans, subordinate construction loans to developers. And then when their end buyer comes along, the county is going to have to find some other funding source to come up with the down payment assistance to pay off the part of the construction loan that they're advancing. And they're still working out the details of that. As Suzanne said, the county commission approved putting the bond issue on the ballot in November. It's really important that everyone get out there and get in front of their constituents and the groups that they belong to or affiliated with, and spread the word, because it's really going to be a real positive force for the county. One of the things Suzanne mentioned is the other funding sources that are available are they're unreliable. And developers, for them, and Michael can speak to this, for them to be able to commit to a development, they have to know that the financing is going to be there for them. And on the state level, the Sadowski funding, it seems like every session they come up with a new way to cut the funding. This past session, they've already reduced by 50% the percent of dock stamp revenues that are going to housing. So even after that, this past session, they took $100 million out of a program called SAIL and applied it to the new Hometown Heroes program, which is, it's a positive program, but we needed that $100 million to help increase housing supply. Losing that $100 million will again, if you look at the multiplier effect, that 100 million probably could have produced, I'm not good with where to put my zeros, but either 2,000 or 20,000. Michael, help me here. is it 2,000 units or 20,000 units that we could get with $100 million of sale?
I think it's 20,000 units.
So we've lost 20,000 new units that would be coming online statewide because of that. There are federal programs. They all have strings attached. Some of the other counties are using general fund dollars for affordable housing. I think Broward's committed to $10 million a year over a period of years. So it's just this bond issue would make a developer know that that money is out there and available for their development, which again makes it much easier for them to do their planning and to decide to move forward. What Suzanne put up on the screen is the resolution of the county that authorizes putting this issue on the ballot. It approves the ballot language. The ballot language, quite honestly, is not ideal, but under the state constitution, there's a 75-word limit, and it was a real struggle to say all the things that we wanted said within that 75 words. So it's truncated a little bit. It's probably not entirely grammatically correct, but it got the gist across the best we were able. So don't focus so much on the ballot language as what the county is intending to do with the proceeds, which is really spelled out in the resolution. The other thing the county is working on, they are working on an allocation process to decide who gets this money. It looks like it's going to be a competitive process. Let's see, is there anything? Suzanne, go to the next page to see if there's, there's the allocation process on the next page. So again, it'll be a competitive process. There'll be scoring based on some criteria that the county's in the process of putting together. And they're actually, they made available about $40 million of money from a variety of sources that they are going to make available for roughly the same purposes that the bond proceeds would be available. So they're working on developing an RFP for that as sort of a dry run to get a sense for, what the RFP should look like and how to best evaluate proposals when they come in. So that's kind of the bond issue in a nutshell. I know Suzanne, Michael, or I are happy to answer any questions.
Well, I think one of the things that we should be talking about is how widespread this particular problem is, that a solution to the problem doesn't interfere with community lifestyles, and that if we don't piece together a solution, what that might mean for the county as to its economic viability moving forward. A lot of times, the one thing we all seem to face is traffic and overcrowding. And we use the word so generally, and it is so easy to curse a light when you didn't make it through on the first turn, that it's difficult for everyone to realize that quality of life goes beyond that. So maybe we should talk a little bit about that. Suzanne, I know you know some of the numbers on the affordability, what's missing, and that $100,000 in income in Palm Beach County is just
Doesn't get you very far.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
I hate to use the word poverty. All of these words have such emotional meaning to them. It's hard for anyone to see the real issue. So let's talk about that a little bit, and realize the old model. First of all, the word projects. We're not building any projects, right, Skip? Right, Suzanne? It's not. This is not the blocks you see in New York City or Chicago. Has nothing to do with it. This money won't be used for it.
Yeah,
it-
this money is really to harness the market to try to
Right.
help us build those units. And really with 20,000, that will be if there's we talk to market rate developers, and if they receive funding that will take care of the costs and make their pro forma work in the end, they're happy to add those units and get that cheaper money. And that cheaper money is becoming more and more important. So any money the bond issue touches, those units will be deed restricted. So that's really how it's going to work, is they will, in return for taking this money, put a deed restriction on the rental unit, the for sale unit, to keep it affordable for a period of time. And most developers I talk to, they're like, hey, if it's good in the end and the finances work, we're happy to do it. So this is just one tool we're going to use, and believe me, we're going to have the rest of our plan working too, because the way we're going to be able to do this is really talk about density and other issues, and making sure that projects do get approved and, you know, in the right place. We're planning on building, people are like, where 20,000 units going to go? We're going to try to put them in the major commercial corridors where they're needed, close to workforce, on transportation, and really try to solve the problem that way. But we really are missing the middle. I think everybody sees it. I went to my 24-hour CVS and it was closed for a few hours because they had no employees. And I talked to almost every manager when I go to a place. And just last night, not enough servers. They have plenty of tables, but they said, you know, we can't seat people at tables when there's no one to serve them. So I think everybody's seen it in one way or another with all the shortages. And the Tourist Development Board did a survey of their employees, and housing was listed as a #1 reason why they really just can't afford those jobs anymore and are going to have to be looking for something else.
You know, we have most of the people on the phone are connected with Delray in one fashion or another. And we have great Delrayites who have refurbished, I don't know how many neighborhoods east of I-95. I think that any one of them after this telephone conversation can get on Zillow or Redfin or your favorite app and take a look at the former neighborhoods that you could easily purchase a home for $150,000. Those same neighborhoods are now $900,000. If you take a look at rents, if you want to be anywhere close to Atlantic Avenue, you're talking about 1-bedrooms for $2,000, $2,500. We know this particularly well. And I think that anybody who understands the success of our town, and anybody who is fortunate enough to get a house in the last 10 years understands that we can't just close up shop and call it quits, regardless of the fact that we may have a few more cars on the road. It just isn't sustainable. It won't work out. Suzanne has talked about the people whose incomes wouldn't allow them to be even close to our downtown or part of our community. So I suggest that everybody look around and see that we've been lucky enough to have that kind of success. For some people, it has actually meant that they can retire just because of the values and the increases in their residences and their homes. We got to pass that on. The only way to do that is to have a floor that allows people who are earning $100,000 or in that area to join the party. If we cut this off, we'll find that we have far more problems than we could ever have with traffic. That'll be easy in comparison to what it is that we won't be able to do in the future. So I don't know. I'm getting on my soapbox.
I know you are. I have a quick question. Late and I want to get to some questions quickly. So Suzanne, I know a lot of municipalities are trying to do some things in their own areas. Do you have a list, or do you have some examples of what some of the cities are doing to try to alleviate this problem?
That's been important part of our whole planning process. We had a group, our steering committee that, gosh, met for over 18 months, regular monthly, sometimes weekly meetings to work on this. And depending on the city, they're handling it in their own way, but most have said, we do have projects. I was talking to Boynton, you know, and they said, you know, there are some things where gap financing would make a huge difference, and we have some places to develop, and we want to make sure we're doing this. West Palm really taking this seriously, so it's really important we get Delray, everybody involved in this. We have your mayor on most of our calls, especially for our public policy. So but this is, you know, as I said, the funding, and that's where it will be on the ballot. And we really want to hear from you all what questions you have, because it's important that we do get people to vote yes, whether it's saying, you know, the average home of 500,000 will pay only $24 a year for this, which is I don't know, I think a small price to pay to make sure that we can have places for our essential workers to live. You know, any questions y'all have about it, that's so important to us, because we're going to need a lot of ambassadors out there selling this. We're going to be the first thing on the ballot, to my understanding. So it'll be really important to tell people to vote yes on one. And if you can't or have some questions, we really need to hear that, because there may be answers. A lot of people didn't know this. We're not giving this money away. It's cheaper loaned money, so it will come back in as program income and live on to provide other housing. So any type of question you have like that, we're eager to answer, so we can make you all feel comfortable with this initiative.
Speaking of questions, does anyone have any questions that's on the call right now?
Come on.
Christina, is that, are you trying to say something? Christina Morrison, do you have a question? I think that she was accidentally unmuted. Does anybody else have a question?
Well, to take Christina's potential question, she used to be on our board as well. People are concerned about any new taxes. We're concerned about that too. And that's why the county itself figured out that number of, for the average $500,000 home, it's $24. Skip showed kind of the debt rolling off. I mean, we really have tried to be careful about this and make sure that it is something that's affordable. And honestly, rentals are where we are so short right now. And home ownership for the average essential worker is out of the question. You can afford about 3 times your salary to purchase a home. So as Michael said, you're making 100,000, you are not getting close to that median home price, and the average home price is approaching $1 million. So I have not seen anybody 100,000 or lower that's had a lot of success buying right now, unless it's a condo or, you know, other farther out places. They're not living where they want to live. They're not living near their work. So that's why we just think it's so important. But, you know, this is just one piece of the puzzle that really stuck out at us when we saw that 20,000 unit gap.
I'm going to put I'm going to try some numbers again and hopefully put the zero in the right place. If we do this bond issue and the result increases the supply by whatever, 10,000 units, 15,000 units, 20,000 units, that is going to, by traditional law of supply and demand, the increase in supply is going to help moderate rental prices over the next few years. And to just toss out a number compared to this $24 a year in taxes, if the result of that is that your rent goes up by 1% less than it would have gone up by, and you were paying $2,000 a month in rent, that means your rent is $20 a month less than it would have been, which is $250 a year. So that $25 a year had like a multiplier of 10 on the benefit side. So it just, the increase in taxes is just so minimal compared to the benefit that we're going to get from this program.
Yeah, that's the most important message for everybody on the call, because there's so many leaders on this call within our community, and you'll probably be hearing from your constituents. So that's what we need to keep reiterating to people, I think, going forward.
In what Michelle would be telling you if she were here today, the Economic Council is helping us really manage this campaign. They are hiring a consultant to make sure we get the best possible messaging for this. We will be sending out through Stephanie the key talking points for it, and really what has seemed to resonate among the voters. And as I said, if you feel like you can't support it, we'd love to hear why, because that helps us with our messaging. And you know, it is going to be a tough sell in a time when people are seeing inflation and there'll be other issues on the ballot as well. So we don't want people to just get discouraged and say, gee, I'm a no on everything. We really want to make it personal for folks. And when they do go into that restaurant that's understaffed, when, you know, there aren't enough teachers in the school, boy, the school district calls me probably every day. And we do have the school district on our board as well to really solve that issue. They're trying to bring new teachers in and they just can't. And we've had a major company trying to hire employees. They come down here, they are hired, look for housing, and resign a couple weeks later. And those are really well-paying jobs. But you know, we've said even if you're offering a nice starting salary of $100,000 a year with benefits, it won't get you anything here. So they go to a location, you know, where they will get a lot more for their money. So we just think it's critical. And as I said, from the start, we've always been about making sure our essential workers and our residents have safe, decent, affordable housing. And that's another thing the study really brought out. And as I said, I'll make the study and the plan available. At the time of the study in 2019, we had over 100,000 cost burden households. And today I regularly talk to people that are paying 50, 60, up to 80% of their income for their housing. And they just can't negotiate when you have that much of a shortage. And I've tried. I've called the management companies, I've called the landlords, and they're like, hey, I got so many people lined up for that apartment that will pay that extra $500 a month. So, you know, it's just the point where we really have to start catching up a little bit.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Suzanne and Skip, for giving us that update. And if there are no more questions, Michael, do you want to move to committee reports? A lot of us have a 9 a.m. Call that we need to jump into.
Yep.
Definitely, can I throw something in real quick?
Sure.
I just wanted to let everybody know, you won't hear much out of the city on this bond issue, simply because the legislature has preempted us from taking a stand on bond referendum that are up for issue and expending resources to do so. So we're pretty much on the sidelines. Just wanted to let you know, if you're wondering where we are on it, we're pretty much can't do anything about it.
We do understand, and we're happy to take up the torch. And if you think there's a place we need to go with this message, we can do it. We have a team of ambassadors that will be out there willing to talk about this issue. But thank you for bringing that up.
Just wanted to let everybody know if they wonder why we're silent.
Thank you. So Michael, over to you. Do you want to start calling
Yes.
on people for their reports quickly?
People on the call, let's go through the city reports. It's always great. This is a wonderful way to get the message out to so many people in Delray of what the city's doing for them. So who's on?
Okay, Jeff and or Sarah, do you want to give a quick update from the city?
I'll let Jeff give the update today since he's
Okay.
on and
Great.
he outranks me, you know.
I was going to let Sarah do the update. Well, most
Toss that hot
importantly, let
potato to
everybody know,
you.
the city council have their first budget workshop on July 12th. So that'll be telling us what we're facing and what we're going into in the next year. I think things look pretty good so far. Can't really say much more until the budget's actually released. Of course, that sets up our whole year. You'll see our the commission's priorities as they debate the budget and where to go. So that's really important. One of the other things, we are continuing to work on our RFP for the golf course for a public-private partnership there. We would hope that that RFP would hit the streets within the month. And we'll be moving forward with that. I also want to remind everybody, 4th of July celebrations coming up. Of course, we are celebrating on the 4th. We are having fireworks on the 4th. Everybody, of course, is welcome to come on down to the beach and experience those and enjoy them. I honestly am a little fried this morning and trying to remember what else is on our plate. Sarah, is there anything else you can think of that that's big time moving forward that I have slipped my mind?
Just that we're, many are aware on this call that we're, moving forward with that tourism master plan. We're about to wrap that up. So we're having our last task force meeting in 10 minutes. And so we're looking forward to some actionable items coming out of that in a collaborative way forward for the city to maximize those opportunities.
Thank you. So the most frequently asked question that we get about July 4th are, when are the 4th of July fireworks? And they're always on the 4th of July. So there'll be fun activities from 5 to 9 p.m. out at the beach. So let's move quickly to Laura Simon from the DDA. Happy to have you on today. Do you have a quick update for us?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. Yes, 4th of July is going to be a lot of fun. Finally, we're bringing it back since 2019. Fireworks do start at 9. So I think that was that's the fun part. And they are over the water, not on the beach. That's another frequently asked question. But so I'll just start with the fun stuff. So tonight we have in downtown, we have Art Walk. We did continue that through the summer. So we're just trying to keep summer moving. Summer where we have a traditional summer this year. I think we were all hoping it would be a lot like last summer, very busy and running at full occupancy, but that is proven not to be true. So we're seeing about a 50% to 60% in our hotels and occupancy, and really see some declines in our restaurants and our retail down to anywhere from 30% to 50% decline over last summer. So a lot of our new businesses are, seeing our summer trends for the first time. So we're really working with them to make sure that, we're promoting as much as possible, getting closely to our residents, putting the word out of all the different activities that are happening, and to come downtown in a nice time of year. It's actually the best time for all of us that live here. To go back to downtown and discover new things, because we do have a lot of new shops, a lot of new restaurants, and it's a good feeling when you're out there and able to just see old friends. So there is the Green Market is also on Saturday, and we have a Cocoa Health Market or a Wellness Market on Sunday. So it is a pretty active weekend. So just get out and have fun. The DDA is also working closely on the tourism master plan. So we're looking forward to bringing that forward to everyone as well. And we do, as our organization is a taxing authority, we did review our millage in June, and proposing that to the city on July 12th to assess. We can assess up to 1 mil. We did get our assessments from the county, and last year our value, which that's how we set our millage, it was only a 0.5% increase in value. And this year we are seeing with new construction an 18% increase in value in downtown. And that is compared to the city at a 13%. So a lot of new construction came on, $65 million in new construction, which adds to the values that we'll assess. So our board's going to be reviewing that again on July 11th, and maybe potentially they are discussing potential decrease in our millage for the first time. So it is a big time. It's great for some, but it's also, as we've just talked to, it's hard. So we want to make sure that we're keeping things moving. There's a lot of things to do. Downtown gets a lot of action, and we need to make sure that it's clean, safe, and beautiful. So a lot of things going on, but our next meeting is July 11th. It's public, and everyone's welcome to attend. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Kim, I think, is on from the CRA. Do you want to give us an update, Kim?
Actually, Renee is on also.
Oh, I didn't see Renee. Okay, Renee, where are you? On the phone, I think.
Yeah, that's her number. Let me see. Can you maybe come back to us?
Oh, okay, sure. We also have Kent Edwards from the Sustainability Department from the city. Did you have anything you wanted to update us on? I know that we have your climate and art is coming up in the near future.
Yes, thanks, Daphne. Hey everyone, happy Friday and happy long weekend. The Climate and Art event, we are going into full swing on the planning. We have sent out links to the website and logo for that. So appreciate the chamber working with us on that and distributing. We have divided up the outreach to several different groups, schools, restaurants, businesses, and also major venue partners. So anyone that's interested, feel free to email me on that and we'll put you on a list, but we have been coordinating with about 50 plus partners there. Also want to mention a couple other projects. We have a tree inventory presentation coming up July 19th. That project is wrapping up and we have great data on tree resources. We have the tree planting agreement that was signed and executed on June 14th. So we'll be working to find sites and moving forward on 2,000 trees for this year. And also on July 19th, going to have a follow-up presentation to the commission regarding the green board's main issues. And there will be a major portion on the green building ordinance there with suggestions on revisions of the draft and other options, looking for direction from the commission so that hopefully we can get a green building ordinance passed within the year.
Nice. Okay, thank you. I've heard from Renee Jadising. She's on the phone. Renee, do you want to give us a quick update? Unmute. Go ahead, Renee. I'm texting you. What is with, here she comes. There you go, Renee.
Almost there.
I can't hear her. Kim, do you want to jump in?
I think she's trying to get on and she's unmuted, so I don't know why.
Yeah.
I see her unmuted. There she is.
Go ahead, Renee.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes,
Sorry,
we
I don't
hear
know
you
what's
now.
going on. Okay, so I really wanted to give this update because it's about housing. So Island Cove just closed last week. That's the project with the Housing Authority. That's about just over 60 units, targeting the 80% AMI workforce housing that's going to be happening in the Southwest neighborhood. So that was a partnership with the CRA as well. We contributed $1 million to help with the gap financing for that project. So that's super exciting that I really wanted to make sure we shared on this housing call. Also, Corey Jones Isle, that's a housing project that we did. That's 10 units of workforce housing in the Southwest neighborhood. And Carver Square is going in full force, 20 units of single family homes, workforce housing in the Southwest neighborhood as well. So we were part of the committee that was talking about the housing bond. And, CRAs were an integral part because we are that help. We can also help with that gap financing as well. So Delray is a super active CRA that has so many different programs for housing. So we're excited to help however we can. But, most excitingly, I wanted to share about Island Cove because that's really much needed housing for that lower tier workforce. That is the serving, group mostly in our community. So we're really excited about having that underway. And there should be a ribbon cutting or groundbreaking, happening in August.
Renee, that's excellent. And some of the other projects they're moving along so fast in terms of build. Do you know when they'll be available?
For the housing
Yeah.
part? I think it's probably going to be at least a year for construction, but the housing authority has, lists that they already have people signing up for. So if anyone's interested in that development, I would definitely say to reach out to the housing authority now. They had wait lists of thousands of people. So while it's only the 60+ units, they have really long lists, and they're really active and excited to serve and help however they can. So if anyone wants information about that development, definitely reach out to the housing authority.
Great. Thank you. That's very
Sure.
on topic today.
Oh gosh, I know. I was like, what's happening? Please let me call, let you know. So
I know. Technical. It's the 13th. We had a lot today. Okay.
yes, okay, that's it.
All righty. So Steve Weissman just posted in the chat. Do you want to just give us a quick update on the millage rate increase? I hate to see that, but go ahead, Steve.
Well, actually, I'll talk a little bit about the tax roll. So in 2021, we were, I don't know, shocked, whatever, that we market value hit 300 billion. We went, wow, isn't that something? Guess what it did this year? 404 billion, which includes 4.4 billion in new construction. Taxable value is 255 billion. When we did the estimates to all the taxing authorities, we were at about 13.5%. We landed countywide at 15.19% and 15.37% for the city of Delray Beach. And of course, you already heard from Laura, 18.55% for the DDA. For new construction, the city of Delray Beach increase in new construction over last year, 85%. And for the DDA, Laura, which is why it's up so much, 1,200%. And the article is what the county is talking about doing with millage rates. So I don't want to get it. We don't do politics in this office.
I know.
Unless it involves exemptions or something like that, so you can read for yourself. I will say there was another article in the Post about West Palm Beach just passed a 60-day notice requirement to landlords if they are either moving tenants to month or increasing by more than 5%. And the only other municipality in the county that has something similar is Lake Worth Beach.
Okay. Thank you. So I'm just going to give a quick 67.
How many new millionaires do we have in Palm Beach County?
Have no idea, but you do know Larry Ellison bought a Manalapan property for he's the CEO of founder of Oracle for 173 million. It is a record for the state of Florida.
Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in. Go ahead.
Okay, so no, we're done. We got to close it up because I've got another call, but just quickly, don't forget to tune in to Delray Morning Live every Wednesday morning. We're going to be with Stuart and Shelby this coming Wednesday. But our new member Jumpstart, Kim Beckett, runs that for us. It's fabulous. That's July 14th at the Chamber. If you're a new member or even a past member, you just want to get updated on all the benefits that we have as membership. It's July 14th from 8:30 to 10 at the Chamber. It's sponsored by Planet Fitness. Tourism Roundtable. So we're going to have Don. He's been running the tourism master plan for us. So if a lot of people can't be on the call today, Tuesday, July 19th, he'll give a full overview of all the results from the tourism master planning that we've done. And looking forward to YPAD, July 27th. We'll be at New Pagoda Kitchen. That's a great one. So if you're 40 and under, you're welcome to join our YPAD group on July 27th. And August 25th, mark your calendar for our summer soiree. That's going to be at Sklar Furnishings. It's free to all of our Focus on Women attendees. We've got about 20 local vendors that are going to pop up some shops there. We've got lots of great sponsors and lots of great giveaways and gifts. So looking forward to that from 5 to 8 on August 25th. And with that, we're going to close it up. And everyone, we're going on to the next call. So thank you. Thank you for your patience this morning. And we'll see you the first Friday in August. Take care.
Bye-bye.